Okay, I'm back. You guys, you have to hear this. Literally, I don't know if my crew and I handled it the right way, but it is very, very disturbing, to say the least. All right, let me explain to you the story. So I checked in, went to the crew room, checked in, signed in my name, met the crew that I was going to work with. We proceeded to go to the plane. And the minute that we walked in, the one, the person that was the lead, I'm not going to mention her name, we started talking, and, we introduced each other because we always work with new crews members. And so I just started talking to her. Very nice lady. She was Black and just a sweetheart. So we just kind of hit it off, and, we did our pre-checks and we were going to start boarding. Now, she had been a lead for quite a while, so she wasn't new at it, at her position. And so she had been doing it for a few years. I want to say 3 to 4 years. So because she was senior, obviously she was assigned the position of lead. And so we proceeded to board. Okay. Now the first gentleman that showed up, you guys, you have to hear this. This is horrible. The first person that shows up is about 5'2". So now I'm being descriptive because I want you guys to visualize what we just went through. It was horrible. So he walks in and he doesn't even get, so he's walking in the tarmac and he's getting close to the door of the plane. And he has a suitcase and he has a handbag. So now he walks in and looks at me and smiles. So I smile back because I'm usually standing at the door. That was my position, that day. And the lead looks at him and says, "Good morning." He looks at her, gives her one of those, and he's like, drops his suitcase. And I mean drop. I'm talking, he lifts his hand to drop it in front of her and then drops his carry-on, drops his suitcase, drops his carry-on at the same time and looks straight at her. And I'm there and she's right next to me. He looks straight at her and he said, "Pick that up. I want you to pick that up right now." I'm like, did I hear well? Did he just say that? And he was one of the first ones to board. Now, we usually welcome, passengers that are in wheelchairs or passengers that are, for some reason, that have canes or, that just can't walk, or people that need assistance is what I'm getting at. So he had a limp, so he was considered someone that needed assistance. I don't know if they wheeled him in a wheelchair. I was kind of busy in the back at that moment, but when I did come back, he was at the door. So he just drops everything and says, "Pick it up." And he's not looking at me, he's looking at her. And I'm like, "Excuse me?" And she was like, "Excuse me?" And he's like, "Well, you're Black, so you need to pick that shit up." That's exactly the way he said it. I was just like, he did not just say that. So she is like looking at me and I'm looking at her and we're just like in awe. I have never heard such disrespectful sentence and words in my life. I was in shock. And I'm not racist. I mean, I love, I have friends, Chinese friends, I have Black friends, I have Indian friends, I have friends from all over the world. I've dated Black people in the past. My husband is Puerto Rican and Hispanic, so my kids are half and half. And so I am not racist, but just to hear someone say that and speak those words, it is disgusting and despicable. It just threw me off to a point where, when you think about it now, you're like looking back, oh, I would have said this, I would have said that. But when it happens to you guys and you're faced with that situation, it's a total different ball game. So I was just in shock. And I remember I looked at her and she just turned around and said, "You will not speak to me that way. And I will not allow that. Do you understand?" And he goes, "Oh, whatever, you N-word," and walks right past us, almost hits us because with his elbow. He walks past us and walks to his seat, which was one of the last seats in the back. And I'm like, oh my God, that is horrible, horrible, you guys. What? How dare you? So right away, I told her, I said, "Let's speak to the pilot. They're in there doing their pre-flight checks. We need to talk. We need to tell them." So I told the lady that was in charge of that's at the counter, the ticket counter. She was close by, and I told her, you need to hold the people from coming because we have a situation here. So we went to the pilot and we both talked to him and we explained the situation. And he asked, the first question he asked is, I understand that he was disrespectful, but did he hurt you? And she said, well, he did walk by me, and he kind of like, you know, with his shoulder, he kind of like rubbed my shoulder with his shoulder. So I said, okay. So he didn't push you or anything. He didn't get violent. No, he didn't. So he's like, well, I mean, technically he didn't really do anything, you know. And I'm like looking at the pilot like, yeah, he totally insulted her. That's like big, you guys. That is huge. So, and I could tell my friend is about to like cry, you know, because I could see her eyes are watery, and I'm like totally trying to stand up for her. And the pilot said, technically, because he, you know, the fact that he can't walk that well, and he's considered, you know, needing assistance, we can't really attack them because they can play that assistant card type thing. They can be like, hey, you know, I can't walk properly, and that's why I fell on her. He can use any excuses if he wanted to because he's disabled. Now, when you're disabled, it's a little hard to go after people that, you know, and that, anyways, I don't want to get into the details. I'm trying to say not as much because I don't want to get in trouble either, but to make a long story short, you guys, I'm in shock. Like, long story short, the pilot ended up saying to just kind of like keep an eye on him, and if that happens again, to report it, but to make sure that, you know, if he gets violent, obviously he would be deplaned right away. But it was just so shocking, and so it just really made me angry. And I can't believe how people can be so rude and so ruthless and so disrespectful. And I remember the entire flight, I was just like, and we told everybody, you know, the rest of the crew came in and we told them what happened. And I could tell that it bothered her. And of course, I totally understand that. The entire day, she was just, you know, the entire flight, she was sad, and I could tell she was distraught. And I tried to kind of like comfort her, but I don't think she wanted to talk about it because she wanted to stay in that state of mind where she needed to work and keep busy. But you know, when we had a little break, I remember her telling me that she almost broke down, you know, and how could people be like that? And I felt so bad for her. And I remember walking in the back, and I still wanted to say something, and you have to stay professional, you guys, but it just hurts. It hurt me for her. Okay. Even though it didn't happen to me, it was totally directed to her. He was very racist. And he didn't hide it. So I'm just kind of letting you guys know that there's situations that we deal with that are just, it could be very negative, and they could be very disrespectful. It could be you, it could be me. You know, part of you can't take it personal, and the other part of you needs to make sure that if he is crossing the line, that you report him. It's really important so he doesn't do that to someone else, because we're able to kick them out. We have that authority. We are protected. So we can kick them out if they get violent or if they say disrespectful things. And when I say disrespectful things, I mean, you know, the F word and the B word and all those. But apparently saying what he said, you know, because he, oh my goodness, because he was disabled, kind of gave him like a pass. So I'm kind of angry at that situation, and I'm sad for my friend. I call her my friend. You know, they all were like a family, even though we don't know each other. We're a family because we work together. We get to know each other. So with that said, you know, I haven't talked to her again since, but I've seen her online because when we trade, you know, shifts and whatnot, I see her, and sometimes I just want to go and ask her, you know, how she feels. But I don't want to bring it back up, especially if she's forgotten, which I doubt she has. You don't want to bring something back up to the surface when somebody's trying to deal with it. But it's a very fine subject. It's a very delicate subject, something that you can't really, I don't know, it's just hard to talk about it. You know, I don't know, you guys. I want your comments. I want to hear what you guys think about the entire situation. Now, I remember when he walked out, I tried to be professional, and she did too. And she said, you know, well, she was mad. I'm not going to lie. She was angry. And I was trying to be professional. So I said to everybody, you know, have a good day. Thank you for flying with us, blah, blah, blah. And when he got to me, he smiled. He had a big smile. Thank you. And even looked at me and said, thank you. And I remember thinking, oh my goodness, you have the audacity to say that. He didn't look at her, and he just walked right out. And there was a wheelchair waiting for him. So yeah, I think he was wheeled in originally, I guess. But it just was very, it was just weird. And I remember she spoke her mind because she said, I'm not going to let you disrespect me that way. And he walked away. So he knew we were angry. And the entire staff knew how he was, but he behaved the rest of the flight. So I don't know, you guys. It's just, you know, when something happens and it just really gets to you, I needed to let it out of my chest because it just feels better when you talk about something that bothers you. And I just want your opinion, you guys. What did you think about that situation? How would you have reacted? And if you're a flight attendant, what would you have done? And then if you're not a flight attendant, that's definitely a question they may ask you because they ask you a lot of situational questions. How would you have handled that situation? So with that said, I hope you have a great Saturday. I am taping this today. And I just, you know, after that flight, it just bothered me so much that I had to share it with you guys. So you live, you learn. And this would be vlog number 2 on what's going on in the plane and things that I go through, whether it's positive or negative. So I hope you have a great day. Love you guys. And keep subscribing. Do not forget, right here. Well, I'm not going to have it up here because I will not edit this video. I'll just post it right away. But make sure you subscribe. I'm trying to reach the 1,000 subscriber. And also I have another video coming up that is going to talk about, I've just finished one with the crash pad a few days ago. And now I'm doing how to find jobs, you know, airline jobs, and the secret website that we go to so we know exactly where to apply and at what time and when they're opened, when the slots are open. And so if you guys want to keep on watching and find out more, make sure to subscribe. All right. Love you guys. See ya.